So we have everyone here. Yeah. Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Regina Cross and I direct the Spartan Pathways Travel Program, and I'm glad that you're able to join us today to learn a little bit more about your upcoming Iceland tour. First, I want to introduce Mike Gottfried. He's the professor that will be joining you from Michigan State. And Mike, you want to say a few words? He's been to Iceland many times, so perfect person to be with you.
Sure. Happy to. Hi, everybody. I'll look forward to meeting you all in person in a little over 2 weeks now. It's creeping up on us. As Regina said, I've been to Iceland quite a few times. I've done a couple of alumni trips there, and I have also done many trips with students. We have Iceland as part of our regular study abroad program at MSU, and it's a wonderful place to visit. You'll love it. I don't know if any of you have been there previously, but spectacular scenery, great opportunities. The time of year we're going to see some really terrific wildlife, whales and seabirds, probably most prominently. Very interesting culture, and this is a perspective of Iceland that I haven't had before, because I've done all the travel I've done there has been land-based with occasional forays out onto the water. So the circumnavigation part of it on the ship is really exciting, and I think that'll be a dynamic and really interesting way to experience Iceland. So I'll certainly look forward to meeting all of you soon. And I put my name and email address in the chat. So after this session, if any of you have questions or want to shoot me an email, please feel free and I'll look out for those. Okay, and see everybody soon.
Hey, thank you, Mike. All right, next I'd like to introduce Erin Holtz. She's from Gohagen and Company, and she's going to give a review on the tour and what to expect. So take it away, Erin.
Thank you, Regina. Thank you, Mike. It's really nice to be on this call with all of you today. Before we begin, I just want to take a minute to thank you for choosing to travel with Gohagen and entrusting us with this amazing adventure you're about to take on. It sounds like Mike has so much experience with the area, so you're not only going to be in great hands with Gohagen, but having Mike as a host there as well will just make the experience so special for all of you. Has anybody, I'd be curious to know, has anybody traveled with Gohagen before? Do you have anybody, any repeat travelers? Maybe if you've traveled with Gohagen, you can raise your hand before. I don't see any hands. Okay, so we'll go ahead and just get started and talk a little bit about the pre-departure briefing. So I'm sharing my screen right now. I hope you all can see that all right. Can I get a thumbs up? Can you see my screen okay? Great. Okay, perfect. So we'll go ahead and get started. For today and the briefing purposes, I won't spend a lot of time talking about the itinerary, but what I will spend quite a bit of time going through with you is just preparing for your trip, talking about what to expect, and making sure you all have answers to questions. If there's anything I can help you with today, I'd be happy to do that at the end. We'll leave it open for questions. If I don't have an answer, I'll make sure to find one for you and get that answer back to you. But for just kind of the entry and the intro part of the briefing, I want to talk a little bit about the pre-program before we move into kind of what to expect. So we do have a total of 45 guests booked on the pre-program, and Michigan State has 15 passengers booked on the pre-program. I understand that there are some of you that are arriving in even earlier before the pre-program, like a day before the pre-program, and either staying at the Parliament Hotel or plan to meet at the Parliament Hotel. And I've confirmed this morning that our program operations manager is working on getting you all, for those that are arriving early and staying at the Parliament, in advance of the normal arrival time on the pre, she's going to get you a transfer set up from the Parliament so you can join the excursion at the Blue Lagoon in the morning. And then for those of you that are arriving flying in and then starting the pre-program, there will be a transfer for you at the airport that will take you directly to the Blue Lagoon. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the transfers. I also have a slide pulled up, prepared to go over the more transfer information with you, but I wanted to share that with you since there are quite a few of you coming in a little bit earlier. But you're going to have a wonderful experience in Reykjavik. Start off at the Blue Lagoon. You'll have an opportunity to just experience the Icelandic capital. You'll tour the Helgrinsa Church. We have a fantastic visit planned to the Perlin Museum, which everybody raves and loves, and then a tour of the National Museum. And then you'll enjoy a full day excursion of really Iceland's crown jewel, the legendary Golden Circle. And then for those of you that are joining us on the main program, so we have 26 Michigan State passengers total, and that includes the host, Mike. So there'll be 26 of you. This Michigan State has the largest group of passengers on this program. So it's nice that we have such a wonderful group. There are 94 total guests on the main program. So the ship will be about half full. So you're going to have just a wonderful, small, intimate experience because there are only about 100 people on this program. When we are going on our excursions, we will keep you all together as a group. So something to kind of know if you haven't traveled with GoHagen before or you haven't been on a cruise before, the first day that you embark the ship, there will be a meeting, a reception for all of you to just kind of talk a little bit about the program. The GoHagen travel directors will introduce themselves. There'll be a safety drill when you get on that first day. So the first day can seem kind of hustle, bustle, a little bit busy just because there's a lot to do that first day. But from there on out, you'll receive an itinerary in your cabin every evening for the next day's kind of excursions, what to expect, and what's planned. And in that itinerary, it'll say Michigan State, the Green Group, and you are to arrive at the reception hall at 9 a.m. for your excursion, and you'll all be together in the Green Group. On any of the buses, on any of the planned excursions, we keep you all together. So it's a nice way to travel with one another and really get to know one another on these programs. But we have a wonderful itinerary planned for you to a lot of amazing places where we're going to circumnavigate Iceland. And you'll see so many amazing sights, as Mike shared, wildlife, bird life, and really the land of ice and fire. So you get a wonderful opportunity to see so much of Iceland. When we talk about kind of preparing for your trip and what to expect, you all should have received the GoHagen memento boxes from us. Within that memento box, you should have received baggage tags from us. Actually, two different types of bag tags, vinyl plastic GoHagen bag tags that are gray, and then you should have received a brightly colored paper luggage tags from us as well. And you also should have received a name badge for all of you, and an adapter and a packing list and some other helpful information. When you arrive in Reykjavik and you go through customs and you collect your bags, I'd like to recommend that you put that paper bag tag on your bag when you grab your bag. I don't recommend putting that paper bag tag on before you leave the States because it's paper. It could easily rip off, but that's how our travel directors identify your bags, and then they know specifically who they belong to. They know what cabin you're staying in, or they know what room you're staying in. So the travel directors can make sure your bags arrive either in your hotel room or in your cabin. And then when you leave, so when you disembark the ship, you want to keep that paper tag on your bag, as those will be collected outside of your cabin and then transferred to the airport for you. So We will handle all of the luggage transfers for you, but we just want to make sure that you have your luggage tag on. And then we also recommend wearing your name badge also when you get to Reykjavik and you arrive in the arrival hall. I know it can kind of be funny or awkward, but many times when you are in the arrival hall, the Gohagen travel directors are going to probably notice you maybe before you notice them. So the Gohagen travel director will be carrying a sign. They'll be holding a sign that looks like our little logo down here in the left-hand corner, and it'll say Gohagen and Company. And they'll be there to meet you in the arrival hall. I know for those of you that are arriving early, you'll have your own transportation to get to where you need to be. But for those that are arriving for the pre-program and the main program as part of the group transfer, you'll be looking for the Gohagen and Company sign. More than likely, they're going to recognize you first. And so from there, they'll escort you to the bus to either take you to the hotel or take you to the ship directly. So just make sure you've got your name tags and your luggage tags packed, probably easily to get to in your carry-on. So you can go ahead and put those on when you arrive. For pre-program day of arrival, right, on June 6th, when you arrive, flights must arrive no later than 7:30 a.m. on June 6th to be part of the group transfer to the Blue Lagoon. As I mentioned before, we're working on getting you all a transfer from the hotel to the Blue Lagoon so you all can meet together and enjoy the Blue Lagoon. But exit the main hall. So you grab your luggage and then exit out into the main hall, and then guides will be waiting with the Gohagen and Company sign. It's about a 15-minute transfer to the Blue Lagoon. So make sure I would recommend putting your bathing suit and your shoes, your water shoes in your carry-on bag. So those are easy to access. And anything else you may want, whether it's a hairbrush or maybe some toiletries as well, keep that in your carry-on so you've got that with you and you can easily get to it. And then hotel check-in time is 3 p.m. Rooms may not be available right when you check in, but we're going to do everything we can. And then we've got the group hotel information noted here as well. For the main program, for those of you arriving June 8th, we will have a hospitality room for you all at the Parliament Hotel. And flights must arrive no later than 10:30 a.m. on June 8th to join the group transfer to the hotel. So again, exit the meeting hall with your name tag and your luggage tag, and then we'll take you to the Parliament Hotel where you can relax and rest a little bit at the Parliament Hotel in the hospitality room. For those of you that are transferring directly to the ship, it's about an hour transfer. Embarkation time will be 4 p.m. And we'll provide the docking location closer to embarkation if you need that for those who are going directly to the ship. I do want to also just mention some tips here that when you arrive to Reykjavik, make sure you have your cell phones charged, and make sure we kind of recommend at least one person traveling as part of, your party has an international calling plan. We recommend that you have your phone turned on because if we can't find you, we need to be able to call you, and the travel directors will have your name, your contact information. And so we just want to make sure that if we need to reach you, we can get a hold of you. We also have emergency contact provided in our final documents. I'll go through that here in just a little bit in case you need to reach somebody on day of arrival. But if there is, a significant delay that's going to impact your arrival, or you need help, or there's an emergency on the day you're traveling, please call us. We have a Gohagen 24/7 air department phone number that you can reach out to if you need assistance with air arrangements, or you can reach out to your travel director. If you didn't book air through Gohagen and you're having a significant delay that's going to impact your arrival, you want to let the travel director know, but please call. We don't recommend email. It could be, 1 o'clock in the morning here, and email isn't necessarily the best way to communicate when there's an emergency. So first call, and you'll get a hold of somebody to let them know. So just a couple tips on day of arrival. I want to talk a little bit about the other associations that are sponsoring this departure in addition to Michigan State. So we have 14 associations and affinities represented on this program. Like I said, we have 94 booked guests, 26 Michigan State passengers. Colorado Boulder has 15. They also have a host. And then Dartmouth has 14 with a host. And then the next group is Arizona State with 6. And then some of the other associations represented on my screen will have, 2, 3, 4 at most. But we've got a great group of passengers, and I have no doubt that you'll make friends with probably the other associations who will be traveling with you on your excursions. You'll have friendly encounters with them, maybe at breakfast or at lunch or in the evening in the dining room. So enjoy your time together. Everybody is looking forward to getting to know one another and making friends. So just enjoy the opportunity to be able to travel with some other wonderful associations and passengers as well. We have a wonderful featured guest speaker on this program, Felicity Aston. She's one of the most accomplished polar explorers and climate scientists of modern times. She is both the only woman in the world to have skied across Antarctica alone, and then the first person in the world to have traversed the continent purely by muscle power. I think she and her family live, I think she owns Vulgar Island in Iceland. And she will be joining all of you on the program at embarkation, and she'll be with all of you through disembarkation. So in addition to her 2 lectures, she'll be with everyone, and she's very accessible. If you happen to have read her books, she would be more than happy to sign them. So she's very accessible if you're a fan. She was also on our Antarctica program, and passengers just loved her. So I hope you get an opportunity to not only just hear her lecture, but also speak with her. So it'll be a nice time to visit with her. And then in addition to Felicity, we also have a couple notable guest lectures, including Mike, your host, who we're lucky enough to have on this program as well. And Mike will be giving 2 lectures. And we also have Colin Meyer with Dartmouth, who will also be giving a couple lectures. So this is a wonderful opportunity for you to also learn a lot about the region and the places that you're visiting. So take advantage of the lectures and the enrichment opportunities that are on this program. It's always fun to see and visit and take pictures, but this is unique, especially to Copenhagen, with the educational component for you all to learn so much from some wonderful experienced people. So when we talk about Lay Below, this is a beautiful 5-star luxury small ship. The guest capacity is 184, and they have 118 crew members. So your guest to crew ratio is going to be about 1 to 1. It's a wonderful, fantastic, luxurious experience. The ship is beautiful. It's bright, it's light, it's open, it's airy. There's 92 staterooms and suites. Every single cabin has a balcony. So you'll be able to open up your door and look out, or, if it's warm enough, have a cup of coffee out there in the morning, or, a drink in the evening. There are 5 guest decks. There's an elevator, stairs throughout. There's 2 restaurants, 3 bars, a sun deck. There's a theater where all of the lectures will be, boutique. There's a spa and fitness center. I always recommend that if you'd like to get a massage or a spa treatment on board, to plan that the first day you embark the ship. I'd make an appointment that first day, as their schedules can fill up. There's Wi-Fi, satellite, telephone, and faxes. Just know that the Wi-Fi is satellite. So if there's mountains or things, that could possibly be blocking the Wi-Fi, you may have intermittent Wi-Fi, just know that. But it is complimentary. I wouldn't try to stream video or, if you have a Zoom call or a Teams call, it probably won't be good for that. But I would say for like emailing, text messaging, things like that, you'll be able to get a hold of your loved ones. And like I said, there's elevators on board. There's an elevator on board as well. For the cabin and what's included, there's 24-hour room service. I always recommend that you take advantage of that at some point. Breakfast is always nice. It's a lot like a hotel, right? They'll have the little forms in your cabin. If you wanted to order breakfast the night before and put your card out in the morning, you can do that. There's also going to be made to order breakfast. There's a menu breakfast, and there's continental breakfast buffet in the morning. Lunch is very similar. And then in the evening, you have an opportunity to dine in the dining room. I'm not sure if you'll be able to dine outside based on the weather, but they do offer that option. And then there's always in-room dining as well. There's Wi-Fi internet access. You'll have a closet with shelves and plenty of hangers. There are no irons in your cabins because it is a fire hazard. But they do offer a laundry service and pressing. It is at an additional cost, but know that that's available to you, similar if you were at a hotel. There's a dressing table. So over here, kind of to the right of the bed, there's a little dressing table with a stool where you can sit down. There's a little mirror there. And there's top of the line bath products. There's also a fully stocked mini bar. There's an electronic safe. Direct line telephone. There's also a Bose Bluetooth speaker over here on the dressing table, which is always nice. And then the flat screen TV and your dresser is also here too. And then there are USB ports in the cabin. And then with the adapter that you should have received from us in your memento box, you'll be fine and all set with being able to charge your phones or your iPads with the adapter in your cabins. When we talk about food and beverage, so the ship is French. So the cuisine on board, especially in the evenings, will be more French. They typically have a couple items at the bottom of the menu in the evenings, like a cheeseburger or fries. Sometimes, towards the end of the cruise, you may be thinking, oh, I just want like a cheeseburger. And it's good too. So take advantage of that if that's something that you're hungry for. But they also have, they can accommodate really any dietary restrictions you may have: vegetarian, gluten-free, lactose intolerant. If you have any dietary restrictions, I encourage you to log into our traveler portal and make note of that, or let your travel coordinator know so it can be documented in your profile. They serve alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages throughout. Wine is served with lunch and dinner. There's open bar available throughout the cruise. There's a mini bar available in your guest cabin. You'll also receive a complimentary water bottle from Ponant in your cabin when you embark. And there's water urns throughout the ship. So if you don't want to bring a water bottle with you, one will be provided for you. And it's a nice compact size. So if you want to bring it on your excursions, it would fit in a day pack for you. But you will be fed, and you will be you'll be hydrated. So the food is amazing, and wine, coffee, whatever you need is served throughout. When we talk about preparing for your trip, a lot of this you may already know, but I just want to make sure we go over it with you. Your passport must be valid at least 6 months beyond the date of return. A visa is not required for this program. For those of you that have not cruised before, it is customary for most cruise ships to collect and hold each person's passport for the duration of the cruise. So don't be alarmed if they ask you for your passport upon embarkation. It's kept safe. And you can, they'll give you a time towards disembarkation for you to pick up your passport, before you leave. What I always recommend is you just take a photocopy of your passport and stick that in your day pack or your purse, that you can take with you on excursions if it makes you feel more comfortable. So don't be alarmed if they ask you for your passport. As far as vaccinations are concerned, we do highly recommend that all travelers be vaccinated against COVID according to the CDC's recommendations. If you have any questions about this, it's best to speak to your doctor or your primary care physician. But if you start feeling ill or you do not feel well, please wear a mask, distance yourself from others, or self-isolate, and be considerate of your fellow travelers. There is a doctor on board the ship, so if you need to see a doctor, there will be one. The doctor often will be with you during excursions, not specifically with your group, but the doctor, it's not uncommon for the doctor to go out on excursions in case, something happens. So you'll be well looked after if you're not feeling well, or, unfortunately, there's an injury of some sort. So there's a doctor on board to help as well. Local currency will be the Icelandic krone. We recommend you carry credit card and debit cards and currency in small denominations. It's easy to misplace cash. You're, out of your element, you're in unfamiliar surroundings, you have a lot to worry about with, your day packs and where you're going, and it's just easy to misplace things. So we recommend carrying small denominations of cash. It's easy to get currency over in Iceland, in Reykjavik. So if you wanted to wait until you were over there and withdraw cash, I prefer to do that at my destination rather than over here in the States. The currency rates can be a bit better. It's always best to carry a couple credit cards, 1-2 credit cards at most with you, a Visa or an American Express or both. But you don't need to take your entire wallet, purse, all your credit cards. Leave that in the safe back in your room. We just want to make sure, you don't lose anything, and you've got everything you need. And then carry the toll-free numbers of your credit card, in case, it goes lost, so you can contact them. And if you do need if there's an emergency that may leave you short on cash, it's always best to designate someone at home you can reach out to if you need help. I do want to talk a little bit about the weather and packing. The packing guide that you may have received from GoHagen, I think, had some clothing in there that would leave you probably very cold. And so Mike had been reviewing some things, and he kind of pointed that out. And we had made a mistake in the packing guidelines and had updated for one departure and not the other. So I want to make sure you all are aware that you should be bringing warm clothes with you. And I'll go through that with you in just a minute. We realized this earlier in the week, and so the packing guide will be updated and shared with you here shortly. But it will be cool. And keep an eye on the weather, right, 10 days before you leave, and as you're packing, just so you know what to expect. But Iceland is 4 hours ahead of Eastern time. I always like to put that in my world clock in my phone, and same with my home as well. So it helps me kind of get used to the time change. Gratuities. I want to talk a little bit about what's included and what's not included. So gratuities for transfers and luggage handling, when you're part of the group between airports, hotels, ships, are all included throughout the travel program for transfers and luggage handling. So no need to worry about gratuities for transferring and handling luggage, whether you're at the pre-program hotel or you're going to and from the ship. All of the gratuities for drivers and guides on the excursions are included. And then wait staff for any meals not on board the ship will be included. What is not included is if you have a private transfer or something that you've arranged on your own, gratuities would not be included. Gratuities for hotel staff. So for those of you on the pre-program, we recommend the equivalent of $1 to $2 per participant per day. You may also tip your GoHagen travel directors. But I do want to preface this by saying gratuities are at your own discretion and should be based on the service you received. So not required, but I want to kind of point that out when we're talking about gratuities. And then shipboard personnel as well. When you embark the ship, they will ask you for your credit card. The credit card is to be used for, like, if you have a spa treatment or you purchase something in the boutique, or you have something laundered, they will use that credit card for any of those types of services. You can also put gratuities at the end for shipboard personnel on that credit card as well. So again, based at your own discretion and should be based on the service that you received. So the clothing and the accessories, this is what we have updated, and we've also updated the packing list here that you'll be receiving shortly. But I think it was a lot bit, I would say, light on layers and what to expect. So Mike, feel free to chime in here, if there's anything you want to add about the weather, but it will be cool. It will be cold. Mike, I see you going back on your camera. Do you want to add anything here?
Yeah, I think this updated list is a much better guide to go by. A couple of really specific things that I think will help people be more comfortable, particularly when we're on the ship. If you want to be out on deck, which is a good place to look for seabirds and whales. If it's a little wet or if it's just spray from the ship, I would recommend a waterproof layer from head to toe, not just a waterproof jacket, but also some kind of waterproof pants that they make a variety of things that you can pull on over another pair of pants, just so you have a completely waterproof layer. I think that and for the land excursions as well, I think that could come in handy. And the layers, I would include a wool layer if it's really cold. It can actually be pretty nippy in Iceland. The biggest factor is typically the wind. There might be a little rain. There could even be a little bit of snow. I don't want to scare or alarm anyone. We may also be fortunate and get a bunch of 50 and 60 degree days, which I've seen in Iceland. In June in Iceland, I've seen everything from t-shirt and shorts weather to dressed like a winter day in Michigan, and just about any possibility in between. So we want everybody to be comfortable. It's on the list now, but binoculars, I think, especially for those of you who want to look for whales and get a better look at seabirds, there may be a possibility, if we're very lucky, of seeing a volcanic eruption through binoculars. We never know. It's been on and off in Iceland there for now the last number of months. And also, I'm not sure if I see it on here, it can be very bright. So sunscreen, obviously, is important, especially sunlight bouncing off the water. And also there's one locality on our itinerary called Lake Mývatn. Beautiful place, fantastic seabirds, fantastic geology. The word Mývatn in Icelandic translates to midge lake or midge water. So you might want to bring a little thing of bug spray, because the midges and the flying insects there on a warm, still day can really be a bit annoying. Most of Iceland, you don't need to worry about that. That's the one place I've been where that's actually a pretty handy thing to have, a little tube of some kind of insect repellent. And then again, this isn't quite clothing, but another thing that I think is worth bringing up is the water. The ocean around Iceland hopefully will be calm, but there may be some rough patches. So if you know, or if you suspect you might be prone to seasickness, it's not a bad idea to think about bringing something in case that happens. Hopefully it's not needed, but again, we don't know until we get there what kind of conditions we'll actually experience. Again, I'm not trying to alarm anyone, but You know, the only cure for seasickness once it happens is to be on land standing under a tree. So you want to prevent it. You want to prevent it. Once it starts, taking something isn't going to really help. So the two most common things are, the first one I believe you have to get prescribed by a doctor. There's a patch called scopolamine. It's a little patch you put on your neck. There's an over-the-counter anti-emetic, as it's called. And there are a number of brand names, but the active ingredient is called meclizine. So something with meclizine in it. There's bonine, and dramamine are two brand names. So and again, as a precaution, it probably is a good idea to, if you don't know your level of tolerance, it's probably not a bad idea to travel for something. Travel is something to prevent that.
Thank you so much, Mike. Wonderful suggestions. So glad you're
And
here to share
I'll
those.
mention really quickly, I put my name and email address in the chat. So if anyone has some follow-up questions individually after this session, please feel free to email me and I'll keep an eye on those.
Ew. One other thing I want to mention is our captain welcome and farewell receptions. Those tend to be a little bit dressier. The crew and staff will be in full attire. They will be dressed up in their uniforms. So it's a time where guests prefer or may prefer to dress up a little bit more. And I like to share this on our briefing so you all know that it can be a bit dressier. So if you wanted to dress up, you know, a sports jacket for the men or the appropriate equivalent for the ladies. A sports jacket is not required, not necessary. It's completely up to you, but I would recommend a collared shirt, a button down and slacks on those 2 evenings, as they will be a little bit more dressy. And then I think I could pretty much covered everything else. And we'll make sure to get the updated packing list out to you as well. For your carry-on, all your travel documents, I'd like to recommend, you know, you always put your passport in the same pocket in your carry-on bag. It's so easy to misplace. So that's just a helpful tip. Any photocopies you may have of documents, insurance policies, any accident policies, hand sanitizer, wipes. I always like to travel with those. Maybe an extra prescription or a copy of your prescription, or at minimum your doctor's information, in case there's a reason, you know, that we need to you need to contact them. Prescription medications in the original container, or just make sure you have a copy of the prescription and make sure that the prescription on the bottle is your name. That's always helpful. Any over-the-counter meds like Mike shared, maybe some motion sickness medicine, aspirin, Tylenol, just those things that you like to have with you. Your camera, and then any toiletries, just make sure those are in 3-ounce bottles or less. And then something to keep you comfortable on the plane, whether it's, you know, an eye shade, a little neck pillow, a blanket, earplugs, neck rest, just to keep you comfortable on that flight. And then if you haven't traveled overseas before and managing jet lag, it can be exhausting that first day you arrive. So just make sure you get plenty of rest on your flight overnight. You know, stay hydrated, try to avoid alcohol. If you're, you know, many of you are arriving in the morning, try and sleep on the flight over to Reykjavik. And if you're arriving in the evening, try and stay awake on the plane, which is typically on the way home and sometimes isn't as easy to do. You know, this is an active itinerary. It will be filled with a lot of excursions, walking. So you'll probably, I'm guessing, want to take a little bit of a nap on your way home. So when we talk about emergency contact information, all of you should have received this document. It's the travel program planning guide. It's in the travel portal, and you also should have received a copy from your travel coordinator. Within this document is emergency contacts and a lot of the information I went over today. I recommend that you print this out, put it in your carry-on. At minimum, make sure you have the emergency contact information printed out. If you know what bag you're taking for your carry-on, throw those documents in there now. We've had some people say, oh, I left them on my kitchen table. I didn't know how to contact you. Take a picture, put it in your phone. But Danuta will be your contact for the pre-program. And then Robin Mort, who will be the lead travel director on the main program, will be your primary points of contact if you have an emergency on day of arrival. Robin Mort is wonderful. She's, I think, our best TD in my own opinion. So you're gonna be in great hands with Robin. She does a wonderful job. I was on a program with her a couple weeks ago, and Robin said, you know, we're not mind readers. So if there's something that, you know, you need or you have questions about, don't be afraid to ask the travel directors for help. There will be 4 of them on this program, and they'll all introduce themselves to you that first day on board. So you'll get familiar with them. They'll travel with you on your excursions. They're just there to make sure things happen on time. You get your luggage delivered. So if you need anything, you know, let the travel directors know. If you booked Go Hagen Air, you used our air department, we've got that phone number in there. If you need help while you're traveling, don't be afraid to reach out. And then if you can't get a hold of Danuta or Robin on day of arrival, we have a backup phone number in there as well with our destination management company. So we will be there for you if there's an emergency or you need help. No worries. Just make sure you know the phone number so you can reach out to us if you need help. And that concludes our pre-departure briefing today. So I just want to thank you again for choosing Go Hagen. You're gonna have a wonderful time. You're so fortunate to be traveling with such a big group of you all, and also that the ship isn't completely full. It's not sold out, so it'll be comfortable and roomy, and you'll get all the attention you need on the ship from the crew and staff. So thank you so much, and I will stop sharing and open it up for questions if you have any.
Yes, if any of you have questions, feel free to unmute yourself, or you can also put them in the chat.
I have a question. Rosemary Swantek. We have a 6:05 a.m. arrival time, and I saw that the group transfer is at 10:30 on the day we're arriving. So does that mean we've got 4 hours to wait in the airport?
Rosemary, are you on the main program?
Yes.
Yeah, no, they'll be transferring you from the airport to the hospitality room, where you'll wait in the Parliament Hotel until you can embark the ship.
So it won't be done as a whole group, it'll be some individual transfers?
Yes,
I
yes,
see.
they'll be
Okay.
running those. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. That was a great question. Thank you.
I have a question. Are hair dryers in the rooms, in the cabins?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's a great question. Don't pack your hair dryer. They've got one there for you.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep.
Just a quick suggestion, you could also just stand out on deck on the ship. That'll dry your hair really fast.
Or it could freeze it.
Icicles.
Any other questions? Oh, okay. It sounds like Erin covered quite a bit. So have your questions already answered. Wonderful. If you do have questions, once we depart here, feel free to reach out to me, and I can have either myself or Erin answer the questions. So, okay.
One other question.
Okay.
Yeah, how widely is English spoken there?
Yeah, you take it, Mike.
Yeah, English is an official language in Iceland. Virtually everybody you meet will speak essentially fluent English with a very delightful accent. You may occasionally, in a more remote area, in a rural area, see someone who's elderly, whose English isn't quite perfect or as polished, but all the signage and all the directions and everything, airports and so on, will all be in English and also in Icelandic. Icelandic language is actually very interesting, but we can talk about that when we're there. It's a holdover, basically, because the populations lived for so long on an isolated island. It's the closest thing to Old Norse that exists. It's basically a preserved medieval language.
Wow. Wow.
Cool.
Okay. Well, thank you.
I'll mention one other thing, as long as I have slightly captive audience. Because of the time of year we'll be there, particularly toward the end of the time on the ship, we'll have pretty close to 24 hours of daylight. We'll be far enough north and getting close to the summer solstice. So that sometimes has an impact on people's sleep habits. So I don't know how dark the curtains are. They probably have pretty dark curtains on the cabins in the ship, but you might want to bring some eyewear because sometimes people, when it's still the sun streaming in at 3 o'clock in the morning, that can sometimes, for some people, be a little bit unsettling. So we'll have a lot of daylight.
Any other questions? Sounds like we have. Looks like we do.
I do in terms of like footwear. It mentioned on the things with good traction or whatever. Are hiking boots best, or snow boots, or what are we thinking in terms of that? I noticed it also said clamp-ons.
I mean, I don't want to dominate this, but I can make
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
If you have lightweight, waterproof hiking boots or shoes, I would bring them. I wouldn't bring something really heavy because we're not going to be tromping around with giant backpacks full of weight. So we don't really need, really heavy duty. But if you have something lightweight that's waterproof and has a good tread, like a hiking boot style tread, that's not a bad idea. And waterproof, or at least water resistant, is also not a bad idea. You probably will go through some mud at some point. So whatever you take is not going to stay, impeccably clean the entire time, likely.
Is the terrain pretty flat, or would hiking poles be needed at all, or not needed, or?
I think hiking poles are a good idea. There's some places that have trails that go uphill for views of the waterfalls and things like that. So if you normally take hiking poles when you go walking or hiking, I would bring them on this trip.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
Would you recommend alcohol also for hiking? I'm kidding.
After we're done.
All right.
Back on the ship, yeah. We don't want anybody falling into a geyser or a volcano. Iceland does not protect you from things in the same way that the US does in national parks. So if you wander off the path, you can actually potentially encounter something you might not enjoy. But,
Thank you.
bubbling hot springs and that sort of thing.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. As I said, if you do, feel free to reach out to me and I'll make sure that your questions get answered. So, okay, well, thank you very much, Erin. I think what we'll do next, if you don't mind, we're going to go around the room, so to speak, and have people, if you'd like, say a few words about yourself, and mention if you're a Michigan State grad, what year you graduated, and just what you're looking forward to on this trip. And if you're not a Michigan State grad, feel free to say anything you'd like. Also, too, I want to mention that we do have our online directory that we did invite you to take part in. I know quite a few of you have put information out there. So if you haven't, or if you want to take a look to see, you learn a little bit about your fellow travelers. So, okay, so I'm going to start with, it says David's iPad.
Hi, Dave Reistack, like Marsha, we both graduated from MSU. me in 72, Marcia in 72 and 75.
Yep.
Masters in 75. We were in Iceland about 8-9 years ago, but we went in February looking for the Northern Lights. Had a very good trip, a lot of good stories, but it was fairly short. I think it was 5 days that we did it. So made a vow at that time that we were going to come back and see some green in Iceland. And that's why we're doing this trip right now.
Mhm.
Yes, and I traveled last year.
Yes, we did. We enjoyed we enjoyed that Mediterranean cruise with you last year.
Great.
Yeah, I was hoping it would be a little bit warmer, but we won't pack maybe as warm clothes as we had for February, but
Okay, and
Thanks.
Swantex, we'll move on to the Swantex, if you want to say a few words.
Hi, I'm Rosemary. I'm a 72 grad journalism,
And I'm John. I'm 73 grad in construction management.
and we met at MSU in Shaw Hall. So I put a lot on the online directory.
Yeah.
I won't repeat stuff. but
Both our sons are grads now too, so.
We've never traveled with the MSU groups before. We've done a lot of traveling, but never picked up on one of these. We were scheduled to do a circumnavigating Iceland tour, not with MSU, but with another company in 2020, and it got canceled
for
by the
obvious reasons.
pandemic. So we've been looking for another one since then, and this is great.
Great. All right, and Cheryl's iPad, I see.
There, I think I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
I'm Carol Getz and my husband Jim over here. He's the MSU grad. I'm the one who grew up in East Lansing. Wanted to go further away to college than 5 blocks, and I went to Central Michigan University. And we are curious about Iceland and enjoy the outdoors and forward to the trip.
Wonderful. Great. All right.
Jim can speak for himself here.
Oh, I can. All right. I graduated in 76, and I have had friends and relatives visit Iceland, and they've all said it's just fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to it.
And we have been on 2 other Tanzania, and the other one was the Columbia River. So,
And we had a great time on both of them.
Okay, next we'll have Kenneth.
Yes, this is Kenneth Chase. Graduated from Michigan State in 1968. Went on to Duke to graduate school after that, and biochemistry. So I'm retired now, living in Tampa, Florida, although I'm in Maine at the moment with my sister's Maine. Really looking forward to Iceland. I've had friends that have gone there and have loved it. And the idea of the circumnavigation and just traveling all around the island, and sounds exciting. And to see Arctic Circle, I hear that we may be going north at Arctic Circle, so get to see that. Really looking forward to it all.
Great. All right, the Galbraiths.
I'm Liz Galbraith. I graduated from the College of Education at MSU in 1966. I taught in elementary ed in Southfield, Michigan for 30 years. Jim and I spend half of our year in Naples, Florida in a golfing community. And then the other half we're in Michigan on Watkins Lake, and we enjoy boating there and traveling up to Petoskey to see our kids.
I'm Jim Galbraith. I graduated also in 1966 from the School of Urban Planning, and I've been a real estate developer my entire career. And we've traveled extensively, but never with Michigan State before. We have friends that have traveled to Iceland and spoken very highly of it. When this opportunity came along, it just seemed like the natural thing to do.
Thank you. Joyce is next.
Joyce is not here. I'm filling in for Joyce, and I don't think you can see me, can you? Well, that's probably good, because I haven't gotten my hair done today. My name is Fred Borchard. I'm really hoping I can make this trip. I'm recovering from surgery that was not planned, and we're looking forward to Mike. The question I asked about hiking and drinking, and falling into a geyser. We're very good friends with the Getzes, and I'm worried about Mr. Getz falling in a geyser. So you got to keep an eye on him for me. All right.
We'll do our best.
All right. We're looking forward to it, meeting everybody, and trip is exciting. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right. And then I see Robert and Maria.
Yes, hello. I am the MSU grad, 2012 with my doctorate. So later in life, as you'll see when you meet us. Maria and I actually met as undergrads at an engineering school, small school upstate New York, Clarkson University. We've been married 42 or so years, lots of kids, lots of grandkids. And can't speak for Maria, but I'm kind of a lifelong learner, got a number of different degrees. So I'm looking forward to learning a lot about Iceland, both the geography and kind of culture, all those things. I'm pretty excited to cross the Arctic Circle. I mean, that's one of those things you can check off. That's kind of cool. So some of those things, sounds like we won't be able to see Northern Lights, but that would be great. But you know, with the midnight sun, that may not happen on this trip. Who knows? So looking forward to it.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And again, if you have any questions or like to reach out to Mike, he did leave his information in the chat. And okay, and thank you, Aaron, too, and Mike, for taking part in this today. Information. So I wish you safe travels and a wonderful time. And go green.
Thanks, everyone. Bon voyage.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you in just over 2 weeks. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Unfortunately, we left them in Florida.
We've got a pair here, though.